Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today for Letters from TV Licensing, Volume 11. Yes, it's that time of the month again, folks. It soon comes round, doesn't it? So, what box of tricks and little goodies have I got for you this month? Well, folks, it's been a bit of a strange threatogram this month. It's been a bit of a hidden threatogram, really, because it's not been the usual letter in an envelope. I'm afraid it's been a bit different. Some of you out there who receive these things, you'll know what I'm talking about. And one or two of you have reported and said, keep an eye out for this one, Mr H. A big thank you to a fella called Justin Williams, who was the first one to inform me of this sneaky little trick that TV licensing have been playing on people who are legally licence free this month. Now, what people have been receiving, myself being one of them, has been what appears to be, at first, a card from Royal Mail. The sort of card that Royal Mail will push through your door if they've tried delivering a parcel or a package and you're out. You know, the sort of thing. It'll say, sorry, we missed you, not in, please contact this number, or, you know, please go down to such and such a sorting office and your package will be there for you. So, when I first received it, I knew what was coming. However, what I didn't know that you had to do, and nobody told me until I went out online and did a little bit of research, was that you had to very carefully pry the thing apart, and the threatogram was hidden inside there. It sort of opened out. Now, I was a bit ham-fisted with mine, and I sort of underestimated how well they glued it together. So, unfortunately, I ripped mine, and I made an ash of it, really. So, I wasn't able to scan it in for you. But fear not, Hot Potters, because what I've done is I've gone online and I've found the same threatogram, because these things get sent out, you know, they get mass-produced and they get sent out to thousands of addresses each month. I've mentioned this before in previous volumes of Letters from TV Licensing. So I've got their copy, and I've just tittled it up a little bit, you know, removing any barcodes or anything like that, as always. And we'll use that, and I'll read from my destroyed copy. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into this, and we'll read out this rather strange and hidden threatogram, shall we? So, folks, this is what was waiting for me on the mat when I returned home from work the other day. Now, as you can see, it very closely resembles one of those cards that Royal Mail would push through your door if they tried to deliver a package or a parcel. And as you can see, there's lots of red on it, which straight away you associate with Royal Mail. And it has the words "not in" capital letters and a question mark at the top. It states, card delivered by hand. Action required, read information inside. Phone number, and then there's a telephone number. And it goes on to state, urgent response required. Telephone lines open Monday to Friday, 8:30am to 6:30pm. Saturday, 8:30am to 1pm. Website available 24 hours. Additional notes, please contact us ASAP. And when you look at it, it does appear that the postman or postwoman has filled this in, you know, themselves. They've written it in with a pen. But the closer inspection, you can see that they've not. There's no pressure been applied to it, and it's simply been printed. But initially, you don't realise that, you know, it doesn't register with you. And it doesn't register with you that it states read information inside, because it just appears, and as I said at first, I just thought it was a card. I'll quickly turn it over, and once we turn it over, as you can see, there's lots of red once again. There's two large white boxes. The larger one would have contained my address. The one beneath that would have contained a barcode. I've removed those for obvious reasons, and the only clue as to who this is really from is up in the top left-hand corner, which I'll circle for you now. And as you can see, the return address there is Darlington, DL98, 1AT. And that's the only clue as to who this has come from. Now, for those of us who receive these on a regular basis, we probably know that postal code off by heart, so we know that it's come from TV licensing. Right then, we'll now open this up, and we'll take a look at the actual threatogram. So, folks, this is what the threatogram would look like if I'd have managed to pry it open very carefully and not made a total ash of it. On the left-hand side, we have our officers visit an address every 6 seconds. That's in red and that's in bold to jump out at me and make it look like, you know, these people have eyes and ears everywhere. At the end of the last word, though, there's a little red asterisk, and what that usually means in any kind of correspondence is that somewhere, usually at the bottom, there'll be some smaller print and it'll explain what that statement actually means. So it goes on to state, Dear legal occupier, as there is no record of a licence at this address, your home has been authorised for a visit by our TV licence enforcement officers. They could drop by at any time, daytime or evening, weekdays or weekends. They've tried to make the position of TV licence enforcement officer sound more important and authoritative than it actually is by using capital letters before the word enforcement and officers. Underneath that, you've got don't risk a fine of up to £1,000. They've put that in red to show you the severity of the penalty of being caught watching TV without a licence. You are breaking the law if you watch or record live TV programmes on any channel or download or watch BBC programmes on iPlayer on any device without being covered by a TV licence. This could result in a fine of up to £1,000 plus any legal costs and or compensation you may be ordered to pay. Beneath that, we have some smaller print and a little asterisk that alludes back to that statement of our officers visit an address every 6 seconds. And it states, based on average annual visits, in brackets, made between 2016 and 2018, and available working hours in a week. Underneath that, we've got a box in red, and it states in bold, if we don't hear from you by, on the one that you're seeing, it says 18th of March 2020. On mine, it says 25th of March 2020. We will escalate our investigation. That's been put in its own separate box and put in bold to sort of put the wind up me that they're coming and they could be knocking on my door soon. Over in the opposite top right-hand corner, we've got the TV licensing logo. Beneath that, we've got the TV licensing web address. Once again, I will advise people not to go on it unless you really need to. Number one, because it tracks you, and number two, it has been compromised in the past and we don't know where your details are going to end up. Underneath that, you've got the date. Then you would have a reference number, which I've blanked out for obvious reasons. Then you've got in bold, how to stop this visit at, and we have my address. Again, I've blocked it out for obvious reasons. It goes on to state, buy a TV licence at, and then it directs you to a website, or call, and then there's a telephone number. Payments start from £6 a week. £6 has been put in bold. Or move an existing licence to your current address at, and there's a web page for that. Or tell us you don't need one at, and there's a web page for that. I won't be visiting any of those web pages or calling that number TV licence. Saying, if you do not do any of the above, you can expect a visit soon. Yours faithfully, and then there's a different name on this one. I've never seen this one before. Scott Robson, Regional Enforcement Manager. Across from that, it's as though Scott Robson has come and put a stamp on it. It's not a stamp, it's just been printed on, and it just says, Enforcement Officer, Visit Approved. And it's a bit of a naff stamp, that, really, isn't it? It looks like something you would have received in a comic at one point if you can remember those and you're of that age. Then it just states, buy a TV licence or tell us you don't need one. Visit the TV licensing website today. I won't be visiting it today, tomorrow, or any time soon, TV licensing. Right then, I'm going to go back on the big screen and we'll wrap this video up and I'll give you some of my final thoughts on this particular threatogram. Well, folks, a very strange and different style of threatogram for Mr. H this month. Normally, I'm used to receiving the old letter in a brown or white envelope, and to be honest, I prefer that style of threatogram as opposed to these dirty tricks that TV licensing try every now and again. Many of you have said that they remind you of the We Said We'd Call cards that was doing the rounds a number of years ago, where G4S was employed by TV licensing to go around to addresses and just push cards through doors to make it look like goons had been and called. Now, I didn't receive one of those, so I'm sort of feel honoured and a little bit chuffed to be part of the club this time. We'll have to see what they think up next month, because we've had the old nuclear launch codes that range from 02 through to 06, and it didn't make any sense why people received different codes. It didn't make any difference if you'd been legally licensed free a year or if you'd been legally licensed free 15 years. It just seemed to be whatever the Lassie database spat out at you, that's what you received. This month, we've had these not-in cards with an hidden threatogram inside. You know, the suspense is killing me what they'll think up next month, to be honest. My own personal thoughts on this is that they're getting desperate and that they realise that the government is seriously considering scrapping the TV licence this time round. I know various governments in the past have threatened it to try and pull the BBC in and make them toe the line a little bit, but I think they know that this time, you know, that the number's up, basically. So they're trying to get as much money out of people as possible. And any idea that any Wally in the office can think of, they're taking it seriously. So, like I said, who knows what's going to come out next month. Right then, I hope you enjoyed this video and this little look at Letters from TV Licensing Volume 11. Next month will be Volume 12. It'll be a bit of a milestone for me if I receive one, because it'll be my very first dirty dozen of these things. So, folks, until then, when hopefully you'll join me on Letters from TV Licensing Volume 12, it is bye-bye for now.